Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to the September 9th, 2025 Council meeting for the Village of Lytton. I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone to please turn off your videos, mute your microphones, and allow Council to begin the proceedings. Just to let you know, we are all being recorded and broadcasted on the Village of Lytton YouTube channel. If anyone is looking for a video recording of this meeting or a past meeting, you can go to the Village YouTube channel and watch it there. Thank you, Your Worship. You may call the meeting to order.
At 7 o'clock. I want to recognize that we're meeting on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Lytton people. Tonight we have Mayor O'Connor on screen and Councillor Michelle. And in the room we have Deputy Corporate Officer Carolyn Lamont, in accordance with our bylaws, as well as Councillor McCann, Councillor Toss, and several guests that we'll hear from later. So we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda, and I believe we have a notice of motion to add to item 10. So we'd like to add that to agenda. Could I have someone move the agenda as amended?
I will so move.
Councillor McCann, seconded Councillor Toss. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next before us is the adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting of August the 26th. Would someone like to move the adoption of the minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Oh, sorry. I'll second it. Councillor, Mayor O'Connor and Councillor Toss, are there any errors or omissions?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye. Motion's carried. We have no business arising from the minutes and no unfinished business. So this evening we do have a delegation. So Terry Hadwin, Film Commissioner, regarding the TNRD film industry. So welcome, Terry.
Thank you.
I believe Lisa has PowerPoint, and how would you like to proceed?
Yes, Lisa, if you're ready to cue that up, there we go. Beautiful. Awesome. And should I just let you know next slide when I'm ready?
Is Lisa muted?
All right, I'll just get going and then I'll let her know unless there's a flicker somewhere for me, but that's okay. I'll just assume that she's gonna run the show for me. So
Yes, I'll advance.
Okay. Perfect. Awesome. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. I do have a lot to share because it has been a while since I've come to the village to share what it is that our department does. So I'm going to sound like a robot on fast forward just because I have so much to talk about. And then I'm hoping that a few things are going to be really interesting and you're going to want to ask me questions later. So my name is Terry Hadwin and I'm the film commissioner for the TNRD. The TNRD is about 45,000 square kilometers big. And I've been in my position for 3 years now. Slide. This is our mission statement, which I'm not going to read out loud, but basically the reason why we exist is to welcome film productions into the region to stimulate economic development and also to foster development of filmmakers and people that want to work in the film industry from within. And this is our small but mighty crew. So there are 2 full-time folks that work in the film department, and we have just recently adopted Esther Giles, who is a filmmaker. You may be familiar with her. She created a documentary called The Test, which is a documentary about Logan Lake being the first fire smart community being put to the test when they had a fire come very close to their district. So she is a filmmaker herself, so lends an incredible lens to our team. Next slide. And so the Thompson Nicola is one of 7 film commissions throughout British Columbia. And then we are all under the mothership of Creative BC's Film Commission. Next slide. And this is just a fun little joke. It's been a while since I saw these, so I thought that I would be the one that brings them back. Basically, there's a lot of perception of what I get to do with my job, and not a lot of it is accurate. I don't get to meet with celebrities all day. my mom thinks that I should be winning all of the prizes. Anyways, my husband's told me that if I have to explain a joke, it's no longer funny. So basically, in the end, what it is, our job is to do is to welcome film productions into the area. Here are some numbers of what's driving film industry and what British Columbia is earning from it. So in 2023, which is the last statistic that we have from Creative BC, it was estimated that the film industry brought in about $2 billion into the province as a whole. We haven't seen numbers that low since 2016. So $2 billion is still a good chunk of change. It's bigger than forestry. But numbers are low ever since the strikes that we were trying to overcome in 2023, which included the union, the Actors Guild and the Writers Guild. And Canada is also seeing lower numbers. And so, and we're seeing that trend really globally as well.
Mm.
Next slide. And when it comes down to our region specifically, in 2024, we estimate that we had about 9.75 million spent within the region when it came to film industry and how that impacted other areas such as tourism, hotels, restaurants, shops, those sorts of things. So here's some of our successes. So Sugarcane was partially filmed in the TNRD and made it all the way to the Oscars. So that's pretty substantial.
Mm-hmm.
Next slide. The Edge of Sleep, television series that was, I'd say 98% was shot exclusively in Kamloops. So that's something that you can watch out for. Tracker is probably my favorite success story. We were the first 5 minutes of the pilot episode, which is when you're really trying to garner the attention of your audience. And they aired immediately after the Super Bowl. So you cannot get better prime time than that slot. And it opened up to us. And then a lot of their promotional material was of our region. That right there is right around Wallachine. So very exciting. Die Alone, again, we were the opening sequence. On to the next one. Get Fast is a very fun and exciting, high action, not going to have to think too much about it type of film. It's made to kind of almost make fun of the Jean-Claude Van Damme days and just sit down and be entertained. Lou Diamond Phillips is in it, and that one was 100% shot in our area. They did their premiere at the Paramount Theater. A lot of the cast came, the producers came. It was a big celebration, so that was really, really great. Some smaller wins. We talked about the test earlier in Cold Water, partially filmed in the region. And then we also had a short film called Henderson, which is winning quite a lot of awards. I just like to bring this up when I get the opportunity. Is I don't always get to talk about what I'm doing. A lot of the times that's because we're trying to keep things on the down low as much as we possibly can. For whatever reason, whenever people find out that there's celebrities in their area, they think that they're entitled to go and talk to them, and they're working. You wouldn't walk up to somebody while they're doing construction or anything like that. These people are working and they kind of need to stay in their moment. So we try to keep things as hush-hush as we possibly can. And also these productions, they have hired media companies to do the promotions for them. So when they're ready, they're going to talk about it and we're going to know about it. And we're going to let you guys know so that you can tune in. And so what is it that we do? There's going to be a whole slew of things on the next slide that I'm not going to read every single one of them out. But basically, most of the time what happens is the production comes to me and says, this is what my script looks like. What do you have in your area that can fill these needs? And so I do have a database of over 3,000 locations that we know already to be film friendly. However, I know that there's areas that we don't have that exist in that library just yet. So I can send my scouts out, take new imagery, and then add them to the database. So that's probably the thing that consumes the majority of our time. So in summary, we are the region's ambassadors for the film industry. some of our recent accomplishments within our department. We brought back the film map. So this is a project that we had before. We put it on a shelf because it was getting very expensive to host the website. We are now hosting it internally, and we are one of the top 10 visited sites on the TNRD server. So we know that people are actively wanting to check out that site and see what's been filmed in the area, maybe what's happened in their community. So very exciting. I know a lot of people are very familiar with An Unfinished Life. It was probably one of the biggest projects that's landed in the area, and that just celebrated 20 years in our of being released today, actually. So it's one of our top posts on our Facebook page that's been garnering a lot of attention. We've got our strategic plan that's guiding our way for the next 3 years. I went down to Las Vegas to promote the area. I was the only Canadian location that was there. I just so happened to luck out and be there when Trump got elected. And unfortunately, our dollar took a dive immediately that evening. And I never want to celebrate that, but it did make us that much more enticing to American productions of wanting to come to Canada to film, because every third day is basically free for them. It was also announced around that time that British Columbia was increasing their tax credits. So I was a very popular booth that weekend. Just a small win. We can't nominate our entire region, but we can nominate Kamloops, and Kamloops has been recognized as a top place to live and work as a filmmaker for 3 years in a row. So that's pretty big news. So we're now having an annual Learn About Film event. In 2025, in March, we had about 50 attendees. We had people from Abbotsford, Williams Lake. We had people from all over the TNRD attend. So that was really well attended. And the survey results said that they loved it and they'd like to see more of it. So we're going to continue to offer that, and we're going to continue to partner with the Kamloops Film Society to host it. And every third Sunday, I get to be the moderator for a film industry networking event. We're hosting it at the Paramount Theatre in Kamloops. Every third Sunday, we pick a new topic so that we're not just sitting around and gossiping all day long. And we have a structured item to discuss. And we just encourage people to come and network with like-minded individuals. And I am in my 40s, and I never thought I'd be excited about generators, but here I am, super amped. Yark, yark, yark. Generators. So these are green generators that we were able to purchase with a grant, and we lease them out to film production companies. They are nice and whisper quiet, and they're better for the planet. So double win there. We're also hosting film familiarization tours, and we're always advocating to try to get investors to consider our region to build a motion picture studio. This is where you can find us online. We have a website that you can get lost in for at least a couple of hours. So tons of social media channels that you can follow. And we would love it if you subscribe to our e-newsletter. We only send it out once a month so that you're up to date with all the facts of what we are up to. So that's where you can find more information if today wasn't. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Excellent presentation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So does council have any questions? I guess my Councillor Thomas, through the chair, would be
What could we do as a village to promote our location? Is there like a, maybe if we have something in mind, would we forward it to you kind of thing?
Yes, you can absolutely do that. I think that it would also be really, really great if our office could work with your staff to possibly send a scout photographer to come and take new images of the community, and also communicate that to the community that we would be in the area, so that they don't think that it's just a looky-loo coming with a camera and taking photos. It's actually for a purpose. So I think that that would be really great. That would be one step forward of one way that we can try to entice more productions to Lytton.
I have a question.
Councillor
That
McCann.
made me think about how do you approach the First Nations about working in their territory?
So we already work with quite a few First Nations communities. So we work office to office. So we communicate with their administrative staff or their CAOs, however they choose to have it. Some Indigenous bands already have procedures and protocols and even film location agreement policies in place. We would love it if everybody was uniform, all communities were the same and all bands were the same. But I mean, it's not going to happen. I mean, Sun Peaks is completely against having confetti, and they're allowed to feel that way. That's something that's going to be in their procedures and bylaws. That's not going to be in everybody else's, right? So, I mean, everybody's unique to their own thing, but if we could try to be as uniform as possible, that would be amazing. Lytton does already have a filming procedure in place, which is perfect. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And I think that it prepares staff, especially if there's staff turnover, whatever the case may be, so that they have a document there so that they know what questions to ask. And they can always turn to me if they have any above and beyond questions that they're not prepared for.
Mayor O'Connor.
There, I found the unmute button. Yeah, thank you for mentioning the map. I've been on it and had a look at it. It's on the website, and it's actually pretty cool because you can zoom right into the village of Lytton and see what productions and what year they were filmed here. So it's a pretty neat tool. I did have a similar question as Councillor Toss around, what can the village do, and what is it that, how do we know, I guess, if a film production were coming and looking for a certain thing? I guess you would reach out to the municipalities, the villages, the areas. Yeah. I see it as an economic development opportunity, right? We had the pledge here, it'll be 25 years next year. And it was just an incredible opportunity for the community here.
Yes. Yeah. So it really kind of depends. If it's a location that we already had existing in our database and we were just showing it in a package because we just need them to see photos and see, like, is this a possibility? We probably wouldn't communicate that to you because it hasn't gotten there yet. And we don't want to excite you if there's nothing to get you excited about. Right. So if we're just showing them photos, then we probably wouldn't let you know that. However, it usually gets a step farther down the line and they say, this is it. This is exactly what we've been looking for. We would like to now do a visit. That's when I would probably bring them along and introduce them to the location owners, to the property, that sort of thing. And then we would progress from there to being like, okay, now you need to get film permitting done and all that kind of stuff. So it's a multi-step process. And sometimes it even starts with just one person coming with the location scout. And then people are completely blown away when all of a sudden it's 24 people the next visit, like the week later. It progresses quite quickly.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from council or comments?
I have a comment. It would sure be nice to have a motion picture studio in our municipality. I know. Do you ever work with Chamber of Commerce?
Yes, yeah, we absolutely do. Business improvement associations, Chamber of Commerce. Anytime that we can work with the chambers, that's amazing because they're the ones that usually let me know, hey, there's a new business set up or there's a new tourist attraction. You should check it out. You should, and sometimes they do introductions for me so that I can then connect with those folks and then send them scout photographers to get the new images. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you for coming and giving us some excitement about the possibilities of the future, because I know as the community builds, there probably will be pictures that maybe are worth sharing or opportunities for us. And I know we met over 20 years ago when you were with Gold Country, and you did an excellent job in that organization. And I'm sure you're doing an excellent job with the TNRG. So it's been a pleasure to have you visit us tonight. And thanks for all the information.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your all. Thanks. Take care.
So you're welcome to stay if you'd like. Trip home, so don't feel upset.
Perfect. Well, thank you again. Until next time.
Yeah.
Safe trip home. Thanks, Terry. Okay. So now we have public comment. Lisa, would you like to take us to that segment of the agenda?
Certainly. There was I believe there is a motion just to receive that for information.
Sure. Could I,
So moved.
Councillor McCann, second Mayor O'Connor. All in favor? Thanks. Okay.
Wonderful. So thank you. So members of the public are now invited to comment on matters related to the agenda. If you would like to speak, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. You can find that by clicking on React at the bottom of your screen and then click raise hand. When it's your turn, I'll read your name and you'll be asked to unmute yourself. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to please state and spell your name, say your address and the agenda item number they are speaking to. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. Seeing no one, I'll call for a second time. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. There is no one online. Your worship, is there anyone at Parish Hall that wishes to speak?
No, I see no one here.
All right, so thank you. That completes the public comment portion of the meeting. Back to you, your worship.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. So we're on to staff reports and presentations, and it says Diane, Chief Administrative Officer, the final emergency plan. So I also have Jim here. I'm not sure, Diane, is it you or is it Mr. McDonald?
No, I was just going to turn it right over to Jim McDonald. So thank you.
Come and sit at the chair, please.
Here you go. Are you, do you need any presentation on screen or are you
Nope.
just going to do a verbal?
Yeah,
Okay.
just a verbal, and you were all provided with the emergency plan in its latest form, as well as a public-facing plan. So it's exactly the same as the emergency plan, only we've removed personal, corporate, and organizational emergency contact phone numbers and emails, because that would not be appropriate.
Okay.
All that being said, also in my comments to you all is that things change over time. People leave organizations, and I think we need to ensure that whoever you deem the emergency program coordinator at the moment is allowed to make those minor changes. If there's any changes to the emergency plan that would be against or different from current policies, then it would come back to you. But if it's something that's just operational, then again, I would suggest that whoever the emergency program coordinator is at the moment be allowed to make those changes without going to you. Of course, they send the new plan or the revised plan to you, but they would need your go ahead to make those changes. Does that make sense?
Does.
Okay, and that's really it. I mean, it is an exhausting document.
It is a thick bundle of information.
I mean, that being said, there is probably 50 pages early on that are worth noting, but there's an awful lot of appendixes and annexes that speak to things that you'd only ask if you were in the middle of an event, as well as the current Emergency and Disaster Management Act. So I've been in the business for a little while in BC. That this is like edition 24. So those things change. But again, as those change, we just replace that annex to the plan to reflect what the new act is. And typically that wouldn't involve anyone on council unless your responsibilities change, right? So you have certain responsibilities under the act. But I think as time goes on, if the act changes and those responsibilities don't change, then there's no, we'll keep you informed, but you don't need to adopt anything. If your responsibilities change, well, you'll probably know about that even before it comes to the plan. Yeah, so that's really it. And I would encourage that the public facing plan really be made public. So on the website, for sure. And typically what happens is that we have, civic-minded folks that might speak up and say, oh, by the way, did you think about this?
Mhm.
And I think that's important for us to accept those kind of comments and see if that changes the plan.
Great. Are there any
Yeah.
questions or comments from council? Councillor McCann?
When I was going through it, Jim, at the end of it all, it says legislation and acts, and then it's a bunch of highlighted stuff. And is that highlighted stuff what you were just referring to? Stuff that was taken out of legislation and in use, or I was wondering why it was highlighted?
Yeah, so the highlighted was for you to consider because it actually has something to do with your
I
responsibility.
kind of had that funny feeling when I saw that.
Yeah.
I bet you I'm
Yeah,
supposed to
so
read
again, I
this.
apologize for not just taking it out and saying you guys need to do this, but I think we need to look at the act in a whole. I've highlighted the things that might influence your responsibilities during an emergency event.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what, I kind of thought that's what it was.
Mayor, are you finished, Councillor?
Yep, oh wait,
Mayor O'Connor?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. This is so great to have this complete now. I did notice the record of revisions at the beginning, so this is definitely a working document that can be changed, as you said, which is great. And I just wanted to comment that we've had a lot of people, wondering when it was coming forward and if we had one and that sort of thing. So this is just really great. Thank you for all the work that you've put into this.
Councillor Toss?
Thank you. I too want to thank you for all this hard work. It's very comprehensive. And I really appreciated the time put into the activities, the tabletop activities that familiarized some council members and community members with the different roles. Having gone through it, I did find it overwhelming a bit. And I'm wondering if there's like an abridged version that might be available. It's a little bit more simplified, shall we say, or, for more information, if you want more details coming to this document, but so everybody knows, hey, if this is happening, there's a forest fire, if there's a train wreck, these are the 1, 2, 3 things without having to go through a 40-page document.
So back in the day, when we printed out these things before they were available electronically, those, let's call them 20 pages that are critically important, had little tabs on them.
yeah,
And one tab would say earthquake.
Sure.
So if you woke up on the floor one morning and you didn't go to sleep on the floor, you knew something had happened, it was likely an earthquake, you go to the earthquake tab, open, and that's all you need to look at. So yeah, we can do that. I'm sure electronically there's some way to do a tab, so to speak, so that you could immediately jump.
So like the salient points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And typically those operational guidelines are in those colored pages, kind of early on in the document, where it talks about what you can anticipate after a landslide,
Sure.
for example, and then what you should think about first. So who's your friend? Who are you going to call? That kind of thing. So yeah, certainly do that. I could separate all that other stuff.
Almost like a 1-pager.
Yeah, and certainly, yeah, so those are typically 2 or 3 pages, just so you know.
Yeah.
And it works you through from the event to starting off with recovery from that event. Yeah. So again, it talks about not only what you might do as an organization, but if I think, Tony, you were in logistics. Oh, no,
I
planning.
was sitting next to logistics.
Okay, and so I think actually you were planning, and all the planning jobs were shown with a blue dot.
Yeah.
Sure.
So she would know then that she needs to go to the blue dots.
Yeah.
And if you happen to be the finance individual, then we've got gray dots. And so you really don't need to see the whole thing. You need to go to the gray dots and figure out what your role is. So I think it's quite simplistic that way, but perhaps, yeah, we pull that out and make a kind of 30 in the event of now.
Yeah.
without going through what your responsibilities are and what
Not so much the EOC center,
legislative,
but
and yeah, just what you have.
direction is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I actually have one more quick question, and thank you, Jim, again, we're delegating these roles to the emergency coordinator.
Mhm.
I know your contract is not forever.
No.
And I'm not sure if that role then falls to our fire chief or to, do we delegate at that point? Or that's a question for our CAO, perhaps? Like, who will be
Yes.
taking on this responsibility?
That role is part of Brian Baxter's responsibilities.
Currently, or once Jim is?
No, currently. Currently,
Oh,
has
okay.
that's been part of his responsibility since he was hired.
Oh, excuse
Yeah.
my ignorance. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Jim was just providing extra assistance.
Gotcha.
Getting the book done.
Councillor McCann?
Yeah, Jim, going back to the recent disaster that happened, people didn't really know anything about emergency response. I'm just going to speak very broadly and say that myself because I didn't. So to me, it seems like the residents of the village probably would want to know. And that go to Councillor Toss's question is, how do we do this in a way that people have an understanding of their role in an emergency, what they would need to do, where they would need to go, who they would need to contact? What are the next steps with that? I think we've tried to do a little bit of that already, but I feel like having this on the website, it's clear that there's something there that if, that the village has done this, but there's still that engagement piece that I wonder about. And how do you engage everyone to know that their responsibility, their role in an emergency, and besides having your bag packed and ready to go, what kind of are the key things? Like if it comes to this and you want to do that, if it comes to this and you want to go there, those kinds of things, like how do we do that?
Yeah, so that public education piece could be something we could achieve online. We did try it a couple times here, not great turnout, but really it's about personal preparedness. That is the responsibility of the residents.
Yeah.
Be prepared, meaning that you need to be able to leave your home if advised to, and leave your home without fearing that you've lost irreplaceable things. So again, that's something we could do in kind of like a 26 weeks to preparedness. So every 2 weeks, do this and do this, do that. We've been teaching that over the years. And again, it's only for those that really want to look after themselves. But I think people need to understand that their part of the emergency preparedness and response is equally important to the government's part. So there's no white horses and people come over the mountain to help out likely. So people have to be able to look after themselves and their families and hopefully their neighbors, and specifically neighbors that may not be able to look after themselves.
Okay, yeah. CAO Mombriquette?
I was just going to jump in and say, and we did run a series of those tips in the newsletter about a year and a half ago. I think we did sort of Jim's recommendation of the 26 steps towards, and so it's something that we could probably do periodically, go through all the steps, one each newsletter for a number of weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? I just want to say that this is an overwhelming task for lay people. Even to read it is, as Councillor Toss said, it can be overwhelming. But thank you for getting us a good foundation on how we need to proceed forward. And I think having it on the website maybe will instill some responsibility in the general public to look after their own situation. But I know in other communities, I've also heard people do somewhat neighborhood phone trees, especially where there's seniors that maybe don't have, a vehicle or transportation. So hopefully we'll build on this. Hopefully we'll never need it, but, it's important that we're prepared. So thank you.
So we did, by the way, do the neighborhood, we tried a neighborhood emergency preparedness presentation here. Not too many folks showed up, but unsurprisingly. But I think the neighborhood program's been going for about 30 years throughout BC. It's extremely successful in, I'm going to call them gated communities. And in this, we could almost consider a gated community just because of the size. So you really don't, you're really not overlapping too much in this, some other spots. So I think moving forward with our regional partners, we could bring that up too. Public education wise. And then by doing that on the website, we could encourage people to say whether they want it in person type presentations on this. So I didn't want to take the whole meeting on.
No. So thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of motions before us. One is that we adopt the attached emergency plan, and the second part of it is that council delegate your authority to the emergency program coordinator to make changes to the plan as necessary. Do I have a mover amongst us?
I'll move that.
Councillor McCann, seconded by Councillor Toss. Any discussion?
On the,
Councillor Toss?
just the delegation of, sorry,
Authority?
I forgot what I was gonna say.
So the EPC,
What's that?
the emergency program coordinator.
Yeah, I actually slipped my mind what I was
Okay.
gonna say, sorry.
So we'll withdraw that.
Comment, please, yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
I remembered.
Thank you. And I believe that there will be some correspondence on our website to make sure that it stays in people's mind, so we can all be ready for the next event. Maybe never.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Okay. Next on our agenda, 8.2.1 Development Services Activity Report. And Carolyn, is that would be a report?
Yep. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This report provides an update, the monthly update to planning and building inquiries. As you can see, we've had a few, not a lot of inquiries or new permits through the summer or August, but I will tell you the last week and a half, I've been running off my feet. So people with meetings and wanting to meet and want to do things. So yeah, so hopefully September's report will be on the uprise. And just to touch on a few other projects, we're now moving into phase 2 of the pocket park improvements. The mister has arrived, but obviously it's cooling off, so we won't have that. We don't want it iced up, but I think Public Works is going to look into it in their not a lot of spare time to make sure that goes in next year. And it probably goes in well because the water for the irrigation with the landscaping, et cetera. And that will also, as I mentioned, have landscaping and just cleaning up generally the park could make it look great. I will say that lots of people stopped by today when we were looking at the landscaping. Chiefs Footland Park is a preliminary layout approval, and that should go out this week. And economic development, as I mentioned before, is will be a big part of the OCP update. But I've also, I will say, the grocery, the pharmacy, and the hotel have all had some movement in the past couple of weeks. So has had a bit of movement in the last few weeks. So
Good.
Is that for your activity report?
yeah, that's it.
I have a motion before us. Would someone like to move it?
Move, Toss.
Councillor Toss, seconded Mayor O'Connor. Any discussion? All in favor?
Wait, okay, on the discussion, so the number of, sorry.
Yeah.
Counselor Toss,
Thank you.
holding the question. Okay.
Holding the question, thank you. Just clarification on the single detached dwelling building permits, 22 approved. That includes like a plumbing, like that would be one house could have shown up twice if they had.
Correct.
That does not mean 22 detached homes have been built.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, I
Sorry,
will.
could I just add to that? Can we
Yes.
clarify that, Carolyn? Because we separated it out a number of reports ago so
Well,
that the single family dwelling permits would be individual houses.
Oh.
So if we have moved back and kind of combined some things, maybe for the next report we can split them back out again, just so that
Okay.
we have the new homes as a separate line, and then all the other residential permits are on the next line.
Yeah, that has other residential, and I wasn't sure if that was use, so I will
That's-
double check that.
Yeah, the other residential, I believe, is the plumbing permits and some things
Okay.
like that. But let's just double check so that we're 100% sure.
Then,
Counselor Toss.
thank you. Mayor. And so I guess the same question would, a sort of similar clarification around the issued approved in 2025 versus issued approved before 2025. Those two numbers should add up to the total. And so I'm curious about the occupancy final permit close, the gray line there where it's 10 issued approved in 25, 12 in before 2025, but only 19 total.
Yeah, you don't get occupancy is different than an approved building permit.
Thank you.
And most small towns will know that. Some people never get occupancy, but
Yeah.
Okay,
that won't be the case here.
thank you.
Yeah, that was a confusing number.
Okay, good. Funny, not good. Thank you.
I think we moved the motion.
Yeah.
But we haven't voted on it yet. Is there any more discussion or questions? If not, I will call the question. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carried. Okay, I think, Ms. Lamont, I think you're up again
I am.
for the OCP update.
Yes. So in July, council approved the work program for the OCP update. And this is really bringing back the communications and engagement plan with a bit more detail as requested. For the last little bit, we've initiated, just to give you a little update first, and then I'll go into this report. We've initiated informal update or outreach, and I think there is some question about that. It's been very casual, and that's been deliberate because I'm new to the community, and I think it's really important that people have an opportunity with the team that's doing it, which is Melissa, our communications officer, as well as Hanny, who will be an outreach consultant, learn and listen. So this is the first bit of the phase. So we've done a couple of farmers markets. There was the open house, obviously, with the opening of the Public Works building. And I went to coffee with the mayor on Monday, which was really helpful as well. So the project launch will, so that you'll look at the project timeline in the report, and it has changed a little bit, mostly because the consultation with the Inclipama is continuous. We have started a formal outreach, and then everything follows with the launch, engagement, the tech reports, policy, et cetera. And you can see it's a little hard to see, but the community meetings are the little, looks like a little bullhorn.
Okay. I wonder what
Yes.
that was.
So that just shows you when there's bigger ones. Now, these outreach will have virtual opportunities, and the first one actually has a walking tour that will be part of it too. Not part of the meeting, but the next day. So it then goes through, the report goes through the audiences, both external and internal. I think we did mention that we did meet with staff. We still need to, Kyle's still here, we still need to meet with the fire rescue volunteers, and I assume that will be really helpful too. And then all the external consultations that we talked about. Then the engagement framework, it's really important, obviously, consult with First Nations as well as the greater, and I do use the term the Lytton community, which is in my opinion, is the greater community. And that obviously is the regional district residents. It is anyone that lives around, but it also could be businesses that are not based here yet and want to, or residents likewise. We also have pretty key engagement roles, which I think is fundamental to both Melissa and I when we do outreach. It's community driven, inclusive, representative of diversity of voices. It's transparent, parent, accountable. There's nothing worse than going to a community meeting and not knowing where your comments went. So the whole process has a report back to council to formalize those comments for you to receive them. Flexible, responsive, and iterative. We may have to pivot at some point. You never know what might come from the technical reports or even just in the community. So that's really important. I'll just skip down a little bit. And so as I mentioned, the project lead is myself. And then there's communication is Melissa DeRue, our communication advisors, and then Hanny Jones, which is our engagement manager. So I could go through a little more detail, but I think those are the key points. I will say that obviously in-person is important. We will do virtual, we will do digital and social media, we will do print, and we will be just general media. So all those things are really important. And if Melissa's here as well, if you have any questions, she's sort of the guru on communications. It has a much better sense of the website, a newsletter than I do. But yeah, so any questions would be great.
Sounds like a pretty full plan. Anyone have questions? We want to put it on the table or ask Councillor Toss? Thank you. First of all, I'm super pleased that us as a village are not starting from scratch and that we're doing it in-house. I appreciate that. I think there's a lot of value in keeping it close to the chest, shall we say. And I appreciated your comments in another conversation where it's community driven. It's not necessarily, it's not coming from this council, it's coming from the community and the greater community. So I do appreciate that. I was wondering, I have one question, and that is around the timeline. It looks like in the sort of the, I don't think it's called a Gantt chart, but on the project timeline, it goes like sort of December, January, but in the bottom, when we talk about engagement rules, it sounds like one ends in November and then starts up again in January. Is there going to be a lapse here? Let me see if I can find it. So yeah, so then it talks about the technical investigations and reporting, September to November, and then developing policy starts mid-January. So that doesn't quite match the sort of project chart. There's no break in there.
There is no break. Yeah, there's going to be a part where I'm locked away at writing policy. Just so that we could take it back and see if we're hitting the mark or not. So there's a lot of that, and it actually works quite well because it is over sort of the Christmas time. Where people don't want to meet, basically.
So the reporting would just be a little bit stretched out into December, kind of thing, in developing policy.
Yeah, and as you can tell, the launch is a little later than we originally forecasted, but it can be caught up. And I also like to say that this is not going to be a massive document. No offense here. The point is that it's concise, it's direct. We're not a large municipality. And we're going to really focus on what the community wants and then how to get there. So,
thank you so much.
Councillor McCann?
What is technical investigations?
Oh, those are all the reports. So we have to environmental. We'll hire an environmental consultant that will give us to catch us up with the rest of the province on environmental. Whether it's riparian setbacks, for example, geotech. There are so many geotech reports here, and we felt that rather than many development permit or OCPs say, "Oh, we think your lot might be this." And so what we're trying to do is bring some of that massive amount of information and document it in the OCP. So when you maybe go to build on your lot, you're like, "I know what this is, and I know because someone did this report."
Right.
So that's, and then similarly, the presentation on hazards, I think there's, you know, obviously there's hazards in our community. I need to draw off that and get in there and understand those. And so the reports are twofold. One are ones we've already done.
Yeah.
And then some are like a parks plan and a connections plan. Might be something that we will do.
Will archaeology fit in there somewhere?
Yes, archaeology will provide. The intent is to provide the community with greater certainty.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't open up the provincial files. That's not what we do, but just to provide
Any
certainty
information.
to people.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the top questions I get in
Yes.
inquiries.
I'm sure it is.
There's a motion before us, which I probably should have brought up before we had discussion, but it's before us. Would someone like to make the motion to receive the official community plan update?
So move.
Councillor McCann, seconded by Mayor O'Connor. Any further discussion or questions or comment? I'd just like to say it seems like a really solid plan. It's very specific and it's got a nice timeline and you've got a good group of people to move it forward. So the certainty that you talk about when the plan is done will be such a benefit to people coming into our community in the future, to know what the expectations or what the consequences are of what they want to do. So certainty is good selling point, I think. So thank you. Any other comments or questions? Calling the question, all in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, thank you. I see you're sitting here patiently with us, and that's really good. I'm not encouraging you to leave, but don't feel that we would be offended if you have other things you want to do. Perhaps you'd like to sit here as we go to our next agenda item, which is to bring our newly appointed fire. Congratulations. Yeah. And so you're here to talk about fire apparatus donation.
Yeah, first off, thank you for having me tonight. It's great to see you. Meeting. Yeah, like a little background on the truck here is we're actually approached by some colleagues in the city. They informed us that the Sleep Valley Fire Department, which has recently kind of closed down, supported by the regional district. They're looking at kind of liquidating some of their assets out there. So we reached out to them just to discuss, potential opportunity to look at this truck to see if we fit in the village to live. So we did so. Brian Baxter and I went out the September 3rd to take a look at the vehicle just to kind of gauge its mechanical state and see if it would really be a good fit for kind of our vision of what we'd use it for, as well as for the community as a whole. Didn't find any major mechanical issues, minor stuff, not really a whole lot. It's in really good working order. Before it was donated to them, it was fully serviced. So in a very small department, I think it had 2 calls in the couple of years it's been there. So still in really, really good condition. Big perks of this vehicle, as you can see in the photo, it looks a lot different than kind of the apparatus we have in play right now. What we have is like the typical commercial cab and chassis vehicle, which is what you'd find, hauling freight on highway, stuff like that. And while they are great fire apparatus, there are some benefits to this is called the custom cab design truck. So it's shaped a bit different in the cab. Basically, the motor is placed underneath the cab of the unit there, so it kind of saves you a bit of space instead of having that whole front end. It's kind of a snub-nosed looking thing. But that custom cab design, it's custom built in the factory for the fire service. It's not just a commercial cab. And what that does is it allows more space inside for firefighters to don their gear. En route to incidents, there's tool mounts inside as well. So instead of going into a cabinet, say if we need an axe or some kind of forceful entry tool, it's right in the cab there, so we can grab and go. It also seats more firefighters in the back just because of its larger nature and size there. So we can potentially have up to 4 firefighters in the back of the truck, 2 in the front, which is a bit of an increase compared to our current one. As well, because it is a bit bigger and designed in the cab there, that has what's called survivable space. So, us being kind of a really hilly kind of environment, it's a lot of terrain. If we were to say somehow have an accident or a rollover with one of our vehicles responding or coming back to the hall, the commercial cab, they don't have a lot of space inside because they're pretty cramped. This one though, a lot more space. So if there was an accident, the supplemental restraint systems in the vehicle will withhold this inside of it. But for us to extricate ourselves or for someone to extricate us, there's a lot more space in there to make that happen. So they're built with safety in mind. Again, they're custom built for the fire service themselves. So a lot of big perks to that. The other kind of cool feature of this truck, and I know the pump panel might make not a lot of sense to some folks, but really, really cool design is it's what's called a midship design. So our current trucks, our pump panels are up top. There's a little gangway kind of between the truck, and that kind of adds extra length onto the trucks. These kind of trucks, they save a bit of space. They're actually the same length as our current trucks. Mind you, there's more equipment on this truck. They do that by having the pump in the bed there and no walkway in between. So it's really easy. It's ground level for our operators. There's no risk of falling down, potentially hurting ourselves, especially in inclement weather like snow or ice. But the pump inside this unit actually is a larger volume. So our current pumps, they pump around 1,050 gallons per minute. This pump is rated at about 1,750 gallons per minute. So we have 700 extra gallons per minute of water flow potentially that can come out of the truck for fire suppression, which is a huge benefit to us. The really cool thing that we could implement this truck for is if we had a catastrophic water system failure in the village of Lytton or any surrounding area, we could actually park this truck down by the river, put in some suction hose, and we could actually pump river water up into the community or to the next truck in larger volumes than we could with our current trucks. Yeah. Compartment space in the vehicle, again, being custom built. This actually came out of a city prior to it going to Seton Valley. So it's really been kind of decked out for its time. So the first cabinet you can see there, lots of room for our air cylinders, fire extinguishers, oxygen tanks, and stuff like that, as well as our appliances. And our current trucks, again, fantastic trucks. But at the time, we didn't spec out anything for tool mounts specifically. So right now, nozzles, different appliances are rolling around in the cabinets. And not only are they not great for the appliances because they're rolling around, especially on our bumpy roads, but if we open a door or something like that when we come to a call, and all of a sudden, a fire extinguisher falls out or a nozzle falls out, could potentially hurt one of our workers. So these are kind of built with that in mind. The other great feature on the truck, the rear of the truck on the right-hand side picture there, is the hose bed. So a large capacity hose bed. The red hose there, it's what's called 4-inch hose. That's to supply our fire trucks with water from hydrants or for other trucks. And that holds a lot more hose essentially than our current trucks, which are really short beds high up top. So this is easy for our firefighters to gain access to the hose. Just a quick step onto the tailboard versus climbing up a ladder to grab the hose on our current trucks. Another huge benefit to this is they're called pre-connected lines. So basically the plumbing of the pump, there's a little discharge out of inside the hose beds, and our hose is already connected to it. So it eliminates us having to pull the hose out, disconnect it, go to the pump panel and turn it on, which our current trucks have. This one has a total of 7 pre-connected attack lines in it. So 2 are in the front hopper, which are really, really great for car fires, dumpster fires, grass fires, and stuff like that. And then it also has 4 in the midship area and then 1 in the back. And they are plumbed with foam capability too, which kind of leads into another point of the apparatus because it has 2 separate foam cells. So typically on our trucks right now, we carry a Class A foam, which is good for like grass fires and ordinary combustibles. With this truck, it also carries a separate foam cell for Class B foam, which would be for flammable liquids and gas. So if we have a motor vehicle incident or something like that out there where there's a major fuel spill or a minor fuel spill with vapors and stuff like that, we have the capacity to flow the appropriate foam for that, which would be good. Our preliminary plan for the unit, if so granted by Mayor and Council here, would be to kind of earmark it into the Engine 2 spot right now. So our second new apparatus for the village of Lytton. And then supplement our rescue truck on motor vehicle accidents within our catchment area. As we've seen in late July there, we had a garbage truck roll over near Kanaka Station Road, which is within our catchment area for motor vehicle incidents. That vehicle did catch on fire and close the highway for a substantial amount of time. We initially responded with our rescue unit. That does not carry any water on board, just a fire extinguisher. So if we could supplement that rescue unit with an engine, that's not taking an engine out of town per se, we still would have 2 remaining in town. Suppression boundary. That's kind of what we'd like to do, as well as we'd like to potentially transition our Engine 2 right now into a water tender, which we've looked at procuring over the years, but the financial costs associated with either a used or a new unit isn't super attainable for us right now. It seems like so we could repurpose what we have. That's kind of like the method we'd like to go with this right here. Yeah, Seton Valley is offering it for $1, similar to what they got, which generously gracious to them out there. Yeah, if there's any questions regarding what answer.
So maybe this time I'll get the motion on the floor before we do discussion. Okay. A little rusty in this procedure, but can I have someone put the motion on the floor?
So we've tossed.
Counselor Toss,
I'll
second.
second it.
Counselor McGann, okay, questions?
Yeah. I want the tour when it comes, if it comes. So just to make sure I got it clear, this would be everything going ahead the way you're asking us to approve. It would be 4 vehicles.
It would be, like, we would tag it for motor vehicle incidents in case of a fire risk. But it
I'm
also
saying number 4.
4
1, 2, 3, 4 vehicles that the village of Lytton owns in their fire department.
Yes.
All right. And so all 4 vehicles, oh, and there would also be an antique fire truck, don't forget. So 5 vehicles, where are they all going to be? Don't they all need to be looked after in a safe place?
They do, and currently what we have for the temporary fire hall, you will know, we did measure out all vehicles would fit inside that space right now.
So the new one has to be at least that big.
Yes, and there is potential too for whatever we decide to do with potential too, if this does happen. Is potential covered outside storage, which most departments do transition tenders or tertiary kind of response vehicles into.
Yeah.
But definitely considerations for a new fire hall.
Yeah. Can you tell me more about the water tender, please?
Yeah, so our
What exactly is that and what does it do?
basically it's just it's fire apparatus that would carry a large quantity of water, and the benefit of that engine too is it was built with a large tank, 1,000 gallons. So what we'd like to do is kind of customize that a little bit, add on to the tank, or take the tank and body off the vehicle and put on like a big plastic tank for 2,000 gallons of water. And what that would do is supply our engines and
Yeah.
case of fire or wildland fire, and stuff like that. Where areas where maybe the municipal water system won't keep up with the amount of water we're taking, or areas that aren't serviced by fire hydrants outside of our area. It also opens the door for us to kind of enter into the deployment method under BC Welfare Service to gain some revenue, as well as get our crews out there and kind of give back to what other departments gave to us in 2021.
So the fire truck, the old, what year is that fire truck, the old one? No, the one that you would turn into a water tender.
That would be 1997.
Yeah, so that one would become the water tender. And then the more recent fire truck that's, we've had what, 3 years now we had that fire truck? And then this Seton Valley one, they're kind of not too far apart in age and.
They are a little further apart in age.
Yeah.
The Seton Valley one does kind of air around the same time as our current engine too.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So it's not a lot newer, but it sounds like it's got more options available to you.
It does have more options. It
Yeah.
does come fully equipped with the gear.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, just gonna input my fire knowledge on this. It also comes with a 35-foot
Yes.
ladder on it, which we don't
I
have.
don't have any ladders. right
And
now.
there are built new buildings in the community that we can't access the roof, the ladders that we have.
Or a 3rd-story window if we had to provide it to rescue people.
Yeah.
We don't have the length of ladders right now.
Sorry, that was 35.
35 foot.
So with ladders, they have to be tested every year, right?
Correct.
All of those things cost quite a bit, right?
Mhm.
I'm surprised we have no ladders or just not.
We do have ladders.
Okay,
Yeah, so
just not that length.
Not
Okay.
that length. So that'd be kind of the one addition to our ladder contingent. It's the 35, and something we're looking at. Yeah, because we have the new buildings that may reach up that, or commercial buildings as well. So that would be one consideration for sure.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Mayor has a question.
Mayor O'Connor?
Yeah, thank you. Just a little bit hard to hear. The question about storage of the 4 vehicles. So are you saying they would all fit in the temporary fire hall?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah.
It sounds like the deal of the century, to be quite honest. I mean, probably the hoses are worth, multiple dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. You seem quite excited about the possibility.
Oh yeah, I think it opens a lot of avenues for us for sure, response-wise.
Okay, good. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Get your loony ready. Looks like it's. Thank you.
Chancellor Toss. Is there maybe some room to put a motion forward for thanking Seton? No, you typically.
I think that's a good suggestion. Would you like to put that motion forward?
Sure, I would like to move that the Village of Lytton and specifically Mayor O'Connor and the Communications Department pen a letter of thanks to the Seton,
Yes, Valley Multi-Fire.
what he said, Seton Valley Volunteer Fire Department, please. Okay, thank you very much.
Did you get that, Lisa? I'll assume you did.
Yes, you did. Sorry.
Okay.
Everything's a little good. So I had that moved. Who seconded?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Congratulations.
So, next we're on to verbal reports. And again, if you gentlemen, have other things to do, please feel
Nothing to
free.
do.
Yeah. Thank you for attending.
Yeah.
So I,
Just to put this into context, $1. If you were to buy this custom cab right now, it's about 890,000 US.
Wow, that's.
US dollars. So, custom cab.
big thank you card.
So, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the tour when it gets here.
Yeah. These, all the pumps and whistles and bells are quite exciting. The possibilities have magnified. Okay, I guess I'm first up for reports. It says acting Mayor Lightfoot. So I'll start this off by saying I really don't have a lot to say other than I attended the Public Works Open House and I think that was well attended. We had MLAs and we had press there and I think it was well organized by staff and the barbecue was delicious. And the following day, we had the open house with the OCP and the water and sewer and the architects. And again, I think that was pretty well attended. I haven't really seen any firm numbers, but those of us that went to the hub architect interaction noticed there were a lot of purple fuzzy balls, which was the 65 plus group. But then as the day went on, there were a few red ones, which were the younger ones. So I think it was a really good weekend. And of course, in my other capacity as Riverfest chair or whatever, we were busy downtown, but I want to take time to give a special thanks to the Public Works staff and in particular Kyle and Brian for really tidying up the space and coming into our rescue on numerous events. And Kyle in particular thrilled the children on that hot day once the dump was gone. So thank you very much for the village for contributing those components to our weekend. And as Caroline said yesterday, we had coffee here. We had a good group, and I think those kind of discussions bring forward a lot of interesting comments and perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
So Mayor O'Connor, yay of the month or whatever, congratulations. Your report is up next.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Lightfoot. I don't have a lot to report either, and ditto to what you just said. I'll just add on though, with the opening of the Public Works building, there was just a flurry of media, and it was all good news stories, which I think we appreciate and we like for our community. And as well, I'll just add on the committee of the whole meeting that we held, our first one of many to come. And I appreciated the discussion we had at that meeting. Other than that, I've been just busy with family time. So I look forward to getting back to Lytton, though, back to home. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Toss.
thank you. I don't have a lot to report. I, like Mayor O'Connor, appreciated the discussions with the committee of the whole and that new structure. So thank you to staff for having put that together. Loved the Public Works building opening as well. It was so fantastic to see our first building. And like Mayor O'Connor said, the enthusiasm around it and all the different groups that participated and the engagement that followed that Ms. Lamont here did and the architects for the hub. I found it excellent. So thank you everyone involved and also with Riverfest. What a successful event. So thank you to everyone that helped put that together. And of course, our acting mayor and Councillor McCann have a big, large role in that. So thank you to everybody that made that weekend so wonderful. Thanks.
And on to Councillor McCann as she rolls up weeks of activity to share
Not
with
this
us.
time, not this time. No. Yeah, thank you, Acting Mayor Lightfoot. Yeah, it was nice to have a little time and not it being booked every day. But it was very busy before there was a little time. So at the end of August, as you've all said, we were busy with the ribbon cutting and the open house and the River Festival and the committee of the whole. And other than all of that, I got my grapes picked and like moved on. It's been pretty good. A lot of harvesting stuff happening right now. So I'm glad to have a little bit of time to do that. I'm looking forward to attending the TNRD meeting this Thursday on the mayor's behalf because I get to go to the Highland Valley Copper Mine, get a tour. Like good timing, Mayor. Thank your daughter because I'm pretty excited. I get to go to a mine, see big trucks. I might even see somebody I know over there. So my thanks to the staff for a well-organized open house, ribbon cutting, all that kind of stuff. Like Jessica said, the village has never been cleaner for Riverfest. I just got to say that. Like it was quite cute to see people really taking an interest and caring about how the village looked. And besides the people organizing the event, so. I would like my thanks passed on to all those who wielded brooms and weed whackers and did all that hard work to make it look really nice. Thank you. I'm done, Jess.
Okay, and Councillor Michelle.
Nothing additional to add to that.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our reports, and now we're moving on to other business, which we have a notice of motion from Councillor Toss.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Lightfoot. Now, this is the first time I put forward notice of motion. So any I say wrong or do wrong, please jump in there. Corporate Officer Sorshiko or whoever is going to guide me through this. I have 3 motions, notice of motions I'd like to put on the table. Starting with archaeology, being anecdotally that lots and potential investors in the village are sometimes put off by the uncertainty. We talked about uncertainty in terms of the OCP and around specifically archaeology in this case. So when people are looking to buy properties, they don't know necessarily how much cost is going to be incurred with archaeology. Currently, we have a grant available to people we call burnouts that were property owners at the time of the fire for $20,000. I'd like to see that extended to anybody wishing to build with a building permit. So the criteria for the archaeology grant program was initially developed with EMCR, and EMCR's funding is specifically for burnouts for people that were property owners. So this motion is around approaching EMCR to see if they will amend that. So the motion specifically is that council directs staff to request an amendment from EMCR of the archaeology grant criteria to cover $20,000 of archaeology costs for all property owners in Lytton. Okay. So that is the first notice of motion. The second notice of motion is around the seasonal water fountains, which, like our misters, are a little bit late in the season now for 2025. But I'm thinking this might fit in nicely with the spring mister installation if it makes its way through our notice of motion and gets passed, processed. The rationale between the water fountains and this motion is that, as we know, we have Canada's hotspot quite often, the hottest place in Canada, and heat stroke is a real health concern in the village of Lytton. During Riverfest, I saw some public coming out of the washrooms there with the big hose bib and water spraying everywhere, trying to wash their hands and whatnot. And I think a tidier sort of look would be also aesthetically pleasing for the village and an economic development contributor driver to have a water fountain. It's an attractive piece of a public amenity space. And then there's a lot of funding opportunities around inclusive health and wellness initiatives. And I think that it will not be a difficult nor expensive thing to fund. So the motion specifically for that, notice the motion is that council directs staff to install a minimum of 2 permanent seasonal water fountains. I am not going to specify, in my notice of motion here, it says one at Pocket Park and one at O'Dwyer Park. I'll leave that in the motion for now and it can be discussed.
If I may,
Absolutely.
the fact that the notice of motion is about that particular subject, I don't think it has to be specific at this point.
Okay.
When it comes onto the agenda, before that agenda is produced, you could perhaps work to get the wording you like.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm looking at, I don't know if I mentioned this, to get this on to the September 18th meeting, which is a special meeting that will be advertised. Thank you.
Sure.
And one last small motion, hopefully it will be not a big deal, because in the village already, we have public taking on the role of maintaining these little planters that are sort of strewn around the village. And I noticed some of them are placed strategically to cover like electrical outlets or something that could cause some tripping hazards. So, but they're not very aesthetically pleasing right now, except for the residents that have gone ahead and just taken on the role of, and this was some of maintaining these. This is something that happened pre-fire on Main Street. A community maintained these. So my ask is that my motion is that council direct staff to make village planters available upon request on a first come first served basis to homeowners who wish to maintain them. And that is it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So, Ms. Doronchenko, I'm perhaps needing some guidance. The fact that this has been brought forward as a notice of motion, do we need to vote on it?
No, there's no
No,
voting or
okay.
anything. No,
Okay.
this will then come forward to the next meeting, and that's where it will be discussed and then voted on.
Okay, perfect. So these motions will be at the next meeting.
September 18th.
I would encourage you to work with staff maybe a week or so before the next meeting to have it worded as you would like to see presented.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Next we have items from our last closed meeting. We appointed Kyle Parker as our fire chief for the Lytton Fire and Rescue Service. And as you heard earlier, we congratulated him tonight when he came to the table. I think we're quite fortunate to have that young man lead us through our fire challenges in the future. And unfortunately, I know that we did add an in-camera agenda, a closed meeting, so I don't have the specific sections. I imagine it's a 90. Lisa, do you have the
Yes.
specific?
Yes,
numbers?
so the motion is that council close the meeting to the public to discuss matters related to the community charter section 91E.
91E.
Yeah. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Councillor McCann. Second, Councillor Toss. All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay. So that concludes our meeting for today. And thank you for bearing with my rusty chairing skills. I think we had some good presentations tonight, and thank you all for attending. And we'll take a short break and then back closed meeting. Thank you.
Lisa finishes it, doesn't she? No.
I can finish, yes, as normal. So thank you, Your Worship. So that concludes the public portion of the regular council meeting. of September 9th. We ask that the public and staff please remove yourself from the meeting as we go into closed. Thank you for attending. Have a wonderful night, and I invite council to take a short recess.